It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
It wouldn't be my first job where there was people smacking each other around. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I've read the book, by the way, Hard to Handle, The Life and Death of the Black Crows.
Oh, listen to that pitch.
Yeah, that's actually, you know what? I'm actually reading Peter Jesperson's new book, and one of the most excited reasons for me reading it is because it comes up from time to time. People are like, oh, the last book you read? Hard to Handle. You mean the guy you work with, his book? I'm like, yeah, I'm not kissing ass. I was just trying to figure out what he's all about. But yeah, the Black Crows, you guys, how did Chris Robinson put it? I think this was in Rolling Stone. I read this. We're from Georgia. We effing knuckle. Literally, me and Rich have fought a lot, but they have the one rule, and this is, you remember this rule. You can throw body punches, choke holds, throw bottles at each other, but never go for the face.
Well, I don't remember ever seeing a body shot. I saw bottles thrown against the wall.
Yeah.
And then I saw some chokeholds and grappling, some hair pulling on occasion. I don't remember honest to God punches being thrown into the gut. And that was true. They literally it was funny you mentioned that quote. Because Robinson used to say, we're from Georgia. And I was always like, what does that even mean?
Right. Doesn't matter.
Well, I got beat up in Wisconsin once. Isn't that the line from Stripes? I got my ass kicked in Wisconsin once. It's like, we're from Georgia. And here's a funny story. Mike Mills, the bassist in R.E.M., was at a hotel bar in New York, and a guy was being really obnoxious to him. And Robinson just happened to be there, too, and saw a guy getting in Mike's face. And Mike's an adult and a rational human, and he's like, hey, dude, I don't have a problem with you. Back off. He wasn't escalating. And Robinson ran over to him, and he said to the guy, hey, we're from Georgia, man. We'll kick your ass. And Mike was like, we're from, what does that even mean, we're from Georgia? What is it? We're in New York City. You don't think they know how to fight here? It was just, it was always the thing with him. He really thought, like, only people from the South will fight. And I used to go, no, only people from the South think it's cool to have an honor code. Like, you say, did you look at my girlfriend? We're going to fight.
Yeah.
But no, those two used to smack each other. I mean, they would, like I said, a lot of tussling. When we were a local band, I would fight, but I didn't think twice. I choked Robinson out at a frat party in Auburn, in Alabama once. I was so pissed.
Yeah.
We played 2 sets. We had to play a third set or they wouldn't pay us. And he was like, they're not even paying attention. I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm like, it was like a $1,200, 1988, $1,200. I was like, that's my rent for half the year, my $300 of this. And he wouldn't do it, and I choked him to the point where he literally couldn't then do it.
He passed out.
And then so we went as a 3-piece. His brother sang the last set. It was terrible. But he was right. No one was paying attention. I don't think they even noticed. Like, there was 4 guys up there, now there's just 3. But once we got on the road and once we kind of got big, I was like, I'm not gonna. I broke up fights. I got in the middle of one. There was one in San Antonio where I got it. We separated them, and Rich threw an errant punch that hit me, so I then punched him. And this is 2 minutes before we walked on stage.
Oh my God!
And I've never hit drums harder because I was completely adrenalized, 100% adrenalized, and we walked out onto stage at the Sunken Gardens in San Antonio '95, and I remember we opened with a song called P25 London, and I was like, what? It was crazy.
Didn't start with the ballad.
No, not that. Not on that good night.
There's a passage in your book where you're talking about there's some kind of brawl and you guys end up tumbling down the stairs, and it's this great visual.
Well, that was us against other people. That was not. We weren't fighting each other. That was the best. That was the best Black Crowes fight ever. Just the way it started. It was Oxford, England. And we were in the dressing room after the show, and it was a Sunday night, so the venue hadn't served beer, so the crowd was really dead. And this was one night after we had played Moscow. We were in Russia the night before, playing to 600,000 people with Metallica, and it was a crazy, bizarre escape from the third world. Really, really, really intense, quick day trip to 36 hours in Russia. We fly back to England, go to Oxford, and then we play this gig that's really, the crowd's just staring at us like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And, Chris was telling them during this, hey, guys, like, this is happening now. Why don't you have fun? Let's go. Yeah. And it was just a weird night. We're in the dressing room afterwards, and 2 punters, 2 fans, dudes, somehow walk right past all the security guards positioned in the backstage area. They walk right into the dressing room, and we were already at a place where that just didn't happen anymore. And this guy walks right up to Chris, who's standing there holding a harmonica, and he's playing it. And there's a journalist. There's two music writers from London who'd come up for the gig, and they write for big music mags, and we had met them already. They're cool. Mm-hmm. And in front of two journalists, he's playing this harmonica. He's just really getting good at it. And this guy walks right up to him and goes, "Listen, mate, next time you play a venue, don't serve beer. Don't take it out on the crowd." Like right in his face. He's mad.
All right.
And I'm like, oh, God, this is going to end poorly. But it was so funny. And Robinson goes, "Oh, really? Here, watch this." And he just threw the harmonica up into the air. And so the guy, like a dog, he's tracked it. Like, where's that going? And as the guy's tracking the harmonica, Robinson punched him in the mouth with everything he had. I mean, full on from his heels. Yeah. And he knew
brought it back from Georgia.
He did know how to throw a punch. I mean, it's not, he was a tiny, skinny guy, but he was he didn't mind knuckling.
Yeah, he was a scrapper.
He threw this punch into this guy's mouth, and more than the pain, the guy was in such disbelief it happened. And there was that moment, he just pow, and then it just freezes in the room. And his buddy sees it, and I'm like, "Oh, here we!" And I just jump up, and suddenly two of those guys and me and Robinson are in a scrum, and it's just we're punching, kicking, grabbing, and then our bass player is in the hallway, has no idea what happened, but he just jumps into and it's three of us and two of them, and that scrum, we just went down the hallway into a stairwell, and then down the stairs, a 5-man, just jumble. It was literally like a rugby scrum. Oh, it's completely insane. And
Why wasn't someone recording that?
I'm telling you, man,
worth the price of admission.
It's really true. I've seen, and I mean, you always hear about bands that fight. Man, I've seen the best band fights I ever saw weren't when someone throws punches. It's like 3 months of passive aggressive insults. Like it's just you get around bands and right away you can tell like, oh, this is simmering so. It's on low heat, but it's 4 years in. You could just smell it in the room. I always said bands are just groving packs of dogs. You sniff each other, and right away you know what's going on with this other band. Oh, wow. Why did we get there? I did not mean because I said, can we smack each other? And next thing you know, we're telling old war stories. Right. Anybody here ever punch someone at work?
Punch someone at work? No, I knocked someone to the ground once. To be fair, I gave him a good, shot to the chest with both hands. Back off, man.
Nice.
And there was a step there. Yeah, there was a step there. So that's why they went down. But then got very melodramatic about it. But I did at a gig one time. I was doing a trivia night. And I was up on stage doing the trivia, the audience just getting super smashed. And it was the diameter of trivia night. And I was sitting up on stage, and the question was the diameter of a golf cup,
Yeah.
And some guy goes, the size of your wife's. Derogatory term for a lady part.
Wow.
I said, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. He yelled it again. I said, I can't hear you, man. I've got a microphone. You've got no amplification. Could you come up and say that into the microphone, please?
Oh, my God.
And I don't even know why I said that, but as he approached and started to say it, I just leapt off the stage onto him. I remember crashing through a couple of tables, beer flying, and just started wailing on him. They pull me off. They drag him out, throw him in the bar. "I'll see you in the parking lot. I'll see you in the parking lot."
Wow.
The owner of the bar takes me to the bathroom, splash a little water in my face. He goes, "All right, here's a bunch of free drink cards. Go out there and give everyone a free drink card. Wow. Say you're sorry."
Wow.
And as I came out, the club DJ started playing the Rocky theme and kind of diffused the whole situation.
Damn.
But now I'm all fired up for fighting stories. Yeah. Should we go charge 93X down the hall? Take him?
Oh, I think we can full on. I'm going to leg whip all those dudes.
Hey, we can take him.
Candace, you were at Acme. You kicked that one comic's ass. Tell me that story again.
Yeah, he wasn't funny.
Yeah,
he just wasn't funny.
It was Emo Phillips. So.
Just went up and just dropped the knee into the crotch, didn't you, of Emo Phillips. Well, I'll tell you what was it? Last Friday was Broken Bone Friday. I want to do Fighting at Work Friday. I want some fighting at work stories now. It's got me all charged up. I'm standing up. 651-989-ROCK. That's the talk and text line. Maybe we can get into this at 7 o'clock. Some fights that everybody's seen a good fight or been involved in a good fight on the job. But we have a movie review Friday. Mike Evans coming up here at 6:30. Hang tight.
It ain't nothing to me to whoop a man's ass.
That's right.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, November 17th, and it is time to head west. Our friend Mike Evans, a man who once saved Bob Hope's life, Heimlich maneuver, got that gherkin pickle right out, right in the nick of time. Mike Evans, good morning. No? Mm-hmm. No Mike Evans?
Morning. Good morning.
There he is.
There I am. Hey, movies, and more movies. Thanksgiving week coming up, and here we go. We start off with the new Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I love the first franchise. I love the novel. This one, not as good as the others, but still worthy. It's 2 hours and 43 minutes long, though. These long movies, I don't know.
So this does not feature J-Law, is what you're telling me.
Well, Tom Blythe and Rachel Ziegler and Peter Dinklage. I mean, they're the stars here.
Okay.
We're going to give it 2.5 stars.
2.5. That's not bad.
Too long, Okay, Thanksgiving. The movie, not the holiday, is shocking, scary, and full of surprises. When a Black Friday turns very black and very bad, all bets are off. There's no holiday cheer in this movie.
Really? Too much sage in the dressing, I guess.
But this is no turkey. I mean, if being petrified is your thing, you're going to love this movie.
A Thanksgiving horror film.
I know. I know. Bizarre, but it's really good. 100 minutes long, 3.5 stars.
Let me know when they whip out the Arbor Day horror film. That's the one I'm waiting for.
Next, if you're looking for something goofy, brainless, and foolish for your kids, Trolls Band Together. It's for the kids. Personally, I'd rather have Root Canal than go see it, but kids need to go to the movies too. Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake supply the voices. Troll, rated PG, 90 minutes long, 2 stars.
I saw that trailer when I was going to see something else recently, and I was miserable 4 seconds into the trailer, so I can't imagine sitting through the whole thing.
Yeah, it's for the kids.
Yeah.
Look, for me, the best new release is that sports comedy Next Goal Wins. The true story about the American Samoa soccer team, the worst team to ever play in a World Cup game, who got killed by Australia 31-0 in 2001. How they got there and how it all happened. Hey, I may be the only critic that liked it, but I did like it. Rated PG-13, 100 minutes, 3 stars for Next Goal Wins.
Got it.
And a holdover movie that was released last week is The Holdovers. Paul Giamatti, who plays a professor at a prep school, who spends the holidays with a couple of students who don't have a family to go spend the holidays with. It is really good. Holdovers, 4 stars. Paul Giamatti stars, and he is great.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks like like the kind of movie they used to make. It looks like something from the 70s or 80s. And even the trailer is edited to give that vibe. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I got a shocker for you. I've been so excited to see the Napoleon movie, which opens today. Studios have been sending a lot of press releases and a lot of buzz. Well, some things came up, and I didn't get to see it yet. So talking to some other reviewers, wow. Some say it suck. Some say it's a must-see. Some say it's a must-not-see. Again, it's really, really long. I've never seen a movie get such different extreme reviews, but since I haven't seen it, you're on your own on this one. I don't know.
Fair enough.
And finally, I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling for the holidays. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to send you a report from different parts of the country every morning. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, dark on Thursday and Friday, but we'll be back live on Monday. What are you doing for the holiday?
For next Thursday and Friday, I'll be in the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, Mike.
That's great.
You know it. Got the kids coming home from college. We're going to all convene back at the old homestead. It's going to be nice. Are you? Can you share where you'll be traveling, or is it all hush hush?
Mainly Washington D.C.
Oh, well, fair enough. Yeah,
we got kids there, and all of our kids and grandkids are going to meet there for the week.
Mike, have you ever had a fight on the job at any job you ever have? Have you ever been punched or thrown a punch at work?
No.
Okay, just curious. We were talking about work fights earlier on the show, and I just thought, maybe Mike Evans just got chippy and threw a punch at Burt Reynolds once or something.
No, I wanted to throw some punches, but...
oh, come on. Spill the tea, Mike. Spill the tea.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
It's Aloha Friday. No, we're doing Monday. Hey. We're going to play today Aloha Friday. Now, remember, there's a lot of movies. Marcus Theaters is going to be showing them all. It's a great week to see some films. Lily Okalani, Lani Anio. Hey, look who in a car and hooey, 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 ho. Happy Thanksgiving. Aloha.
Oh, sorry, I was beatboxing under my
Literally got to get you a kit in there just for Aloha Fridays.
How's my beatbox, Candace? The kids know about the beatboxing skills.
The kids, yeah.
I've never tried it before. That's my first ever attempt.
Pretty good. I could use some work.
Yeah,
I'll help you.
It's a little saliva rich.
It really. That's exactly why they put these things over the microphones. This guard right there. Oh God. Feel like there's so much saliva. It looks like I was actually asleep on this thing. I just woke up like, oh God, it's awful. What else is happening on the show today? We're giving tickets away today on the show to see Judas Priest. That's coming up in about an hour from now. 7:30, we're going to be giving away Judas Priest tickets. So you're going to want. Oh my God! And it's Beat the Toaster.
Oh,
are you kidding?
I knew it.
Or they can
Talk
choose
about starting
wild.
a fight.
They can choose Wild Ticks, and it's also Grateful Dead night.
Oh, that's right. Oh, it's Judas Priest or tickets to see the Wild on Grateful Dead night. They're playing the St. Louis Blues. I imagine U.S. Blues will be playing throughout the over the PA. So what's Grateful Dead night for a hockey game?
Yeah, tie-dye. Going with the tie-dye Wild uniforms.
Yeah, hat. They get some kind of like a bucket hat.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Hey, we were talking about fights at work earlier, and I mentioned a couple of Black Crowes dust-ups. Literally, Albany, New York, 95. We tried to learn a Grateful Dead song at Soundcheck, one of the great fights of all time. Because our singer loved the Dead, and his brother hated the Dead, and then just trying to work out, and I believe it was U.S. Blues, and there's way more chords in that song than you think, and it just went off. It was just fireworks, man. Just nothing like bunch of guys in their late 20s, just still grinding it out like that. Hey, but as long as we're here, let's look back. It is November the 17th. Happy birthday to my nephew, Jeff Gorman. Happy birthday to my partner in Bagman, Nikki Govrick.
Nice.
Hey, isn't that nice? By the way, my nephew's band, Illiterate Light, at the Turf Club in March. We're all going. It's a weekend night. You don't have a choice.
I can't wait. They are phenomenal.
It's kind of stupid how good they are. On this day in 1991, every Vikings fan will remember this. Horrible day in Detroit. Mike Utley, offensive lineman for the Lions, was paralyzed on the field. Remember that against the Rams?
Oh, yeah.
What was this, the thumbs up?
Thumbs up. Yeah. Mike Utley, as he was taken off the field, at that moment, a quadriplegic. He just in a blink of an eye, he went from playing in the NFL to a quadriplegic. He threw the thumbs up as he was wheeled off the field, and the place just absolutely went berserk. 2 weeks later, by the way, their next game was here against the Vikings. 2 weeks later, Thanksgiving Day game against the Bears in the Silverdome. I was at that game.
Yeah.
And the number 60 jerseys were everywhere. There was so much love for Mike Utley, but it was a really, really difficult time, obviously, in the NFL to see that happen. Anytime you see that kind of an injury, it's just like everybody just gets stuck. Barry Sanders referenced that later when he retired. He said, I was on the field when Mike Utley went down. I was scared ever since. Just hit Barry Sanders one day like, hey, I can still walk. I'm going to retire now. Mike Utley did start a foundation and raised money trying to find a cure for paralysis. A great guy. Awful day in the NFL.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Friday, November the 17th. In 30 minutes, we will be giving away tickets to see Judas Priest, or we'll be offering you a choice, Judas Priest tickets or Minnesota Wild Grateful Dead night tickets. Boy, that's a Sophie's choice if I ever heard one right there. It's going to be fantastic. That's in 30 minutes. Sam Ekstrom at 8:30 talking about the big game Sunday night out in Denver, Vikings-Broncos. And so far on the show, we've been discussing work fights. Work fight. I saw two teachers at my school. I went to a really small school in Kentucky, and there was an English teacher, and then there was like the social studies history guy, and they were nose to nose, just about to throw hands one day in the high school gym, and it was between I was cutting through between classes, and I was like, oh, what are they talking? Oh my God, they're about to fight, and then cooler heads prevailed. But I've always thought, like, God, I'd love to see a couple teachers go at it. Mm-hmm. That would have been fantastic.
Oh yeah!
Imagine the mileage that would have gotten. You're in eighth grade. We would. That's a whole school year of frivolity.
Oh, that'd be legendary.
What kind of rules do you expect me to follow when the teachers are throwing hands? It was so close. They talked themselves off the ledge. It was a bummer.
That would have been a good one. I've seen a teacher go at it with a student and Rosie High out there. Yeah, that happened and crashed in study hall. Out of study hall. Into the actual literal hall, down the hall, and everybody, following along. No phones back then to record, but what a great memory that was.
Rock bands. This whole thing started. I think I was in such a good mood. I said, I just want to smack somebody. And rock bands, very famously, you got some brawlers out there. The Gallagher brothers in Oasis. Not so much throwing punches as much as like just throwing things at each other, like full cans of beans and bottles and stuff.
Whatever's available.
Yeah, whatever they have. Well, they do travel with a road case filled with Heinz beans. I mean, that's because they have those not like baked beans, but the blue label Heinz beans that English people have with breakfast next to their eggs. Yeah, Noel Gallagher had a whole giant road case with just like 600 cans of Heinz beans wherever he goes.
Fun in the van back in the day. It's musical fruit, man.
My favorite ever. Remember when the Showtime documentary about the Eagles came out, and then they finally had all the audio and the footage of Glenn Frey and Don Felder on stage?
Yeah, their little caddy fights.
Glenn Frey's, I'm going to kick your ass, pal.
I love it.
And I'm watching that, and people are asking me, like, can you believe that? And I'm like, that's not a fight.
Right.
That's Tuesday. What are you talking about, man? We would if for people that love the Black Crowes. First of all, hey, thanks. You like what we sounded like live? You should. I wish that we were all mic'd for the in between song banter on stage. Oh man. Just the that was always like
the trash talking.
Oh my God, just unbearable. And it would start with the brothers, but then it would bleed into everybody else. Or I'd say just do it. And then if you poked your head into the middle of that, then they'd turn on me or whatever. And there were so many times when there would be an argument about something, and then Robinson would be like, "Man, just start the next song." And I'd go, "You want me to start the song? You want me to count it in? Like, you want me to count to 4 right now? You want me to do that right now?" And he'd be like, "Start the song." And I'd be like, "Do you want me to do it fast or slow? Which one?" Well, I'll tell you what, let's change the song. And I would just sit there, and he'd be just glowing mad. Oh, my God. That's great. And like 3,000 people just waiting.
They think you're talking about some tech issue.
Sorry, we've lost all perspective up here.
That's we're talking about fighting on the job. Of course, being in a band that's on the job. I can't speak to a woman's mentality about this, but for guys, getting into a physical fight for me was always much better than getting into a verbal fight. A verbal fight lingers. It sticks in the craw. It's unsolved, and it's hard to get back to work. But a physical fight on the job, on the team or whatever, that ends it. That you get in there, you have your scrum, provided no one's, seriously hurt, and no one really ever is. But you get in there, you get the scrum over with, and when it's done, it's over for guys. It's just done.
And it's surprisingly bonding sometimes.
Sometimes it really is.
Freaks.
Yeah, well, it's just,
freaks.
It's how we're wired like that. But that doesn't work like that for women, does it? If you get into a physical fight, I imagine that. It seems to me, I have a couple of. My sister still talks about that one fight she got into in high school, and if she ever sees that woman again, I'm like, I can't even remember, my last 3 fights, which were, it's been more than a decade removed since I hung up the gloves for good. But for guys, it's part of the process. It's almost necessary sometimes.
Candace, last fist fight you were in, don't hold back. Who was it? What did she do?
Oh gosh, I did get in a fight when I was in elementary school, but I got my butt kicked, and it just ended. No punching.
Really?
But I got pushed into the snow, and it pushed into the yellow snow.
That's funny. You came up swinging?
No, I just started crying.
Oh, man. That's not a fight.
Sorry.
I got beat up.
You got bullied, yeah. You got to put
No,
up a fight.
I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover.
Maybe it was Mountain Dew and wasn't what you think in the snow.
Man,
Oh.
that's pretty rough.
Mountain Dew doesn't leave that hole, though, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
My daughter Marley got into a fight at school when she was in elementary school, and she was a karate student. She got her black belt in karate as a younger person. I'm still waiting for her to get back into it. She had to take a break. She was a little too intense at times, but she was a good little karate student. And this was in 3rd grade, and a boy was picking on her and telling her, "You're not so tough," and she literally on the playground, full witness accounts from several other students, including my daughter, and they were lining up to go back into school, and he finally just pushed her down, and she stood up, and then he said, and then he balled up a fist and said, "I'm going to punch you," which really a bad idea to tell someone you're going to punch him. Just punch him.
Yeah.
Anyway, just quick tip there. And she stepped back and took her pose, and then he laughed at her, and so she roundhouse kicked him in the face.
Nice.
And he went down like a sack of potatoes.
That's nice.
He went down like a sack of russets. And boy, did that get the 3rd grade class all up in a tizzy.
Sure.
Oh, you know it does.
Superhero.
Yeah. And then she, of course, burst into tears.
Oh, well, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of emotion comes with, even winning. I use winning in quotations.
Yeah.
Hard to win fights, you never feel like a big winner afterwards. No one gives you a belt, holds your hand in the air. But then you realize you just either whoop someone or something like that. But yeah, she did the right thing. And I'll tell you what, 3rd grade, still thinks about that one.
I guarantee
that
he
one
does.
Lingers for him.
I was working grocery store produce summer of '85, a job. I missed Live Aid because I was unloading a truck at 4 a.m. for 4 hours of produce. Like get all that semi-trailer worth of fruit and veg off. And I'm like, oh, for God's sakes. But I worked with a guy named Steve Bird, who claimed to be a distant cousin of Larry Bird's, among other things. But he just drove me nuts. He was the assistant manager, so anytime the manager was gone, he'd be like, "I'm in charge now," and he was just an idiot. and I was standing there one day, and I was slicing cantaloupe, preparing it for display purposes, and the knives were just so sharp, and that guy bumped into me like on purpose, and I sliced my finger pretty good, and I still have a scar where I did it. And I turned around on him, and then he made some smart-ass comment. Like we would have these little verbal spats, and I would just run circles around him, basically, and he'd get so mad and he'd want to fight. And he bumped me. I cut my finger, and I turned around, and he started to say something like, "Yeah, what do you think of that?" And I just pulled that knife up, and I held it right towards his face. And, of course, as soon as I did that, I was like, that's a mistake, because this could literally slice the guy's nose off. Yeah. But he backed down so fast and so quickly that I had no choice but to say, "I kid you not." And then I said things I can't say on the air. And then the more he got afraid, the more angry. I was like, "I'm in charge now." Like, I'm the captain. I'm the captain. Yeah. And as I'm doing that and finishing, the actual manager, like the one adult in the room, walks in, and he's like, "Gorman, what the hell are you doing?" I was yelling. He's like, "We can't have a fight in this store." And I was like, "We're not fighting. I was just threatening him. Come on."
Right. And making a point.
Yeah, but that's as close as I can. I'm trying to. Yeah, I never had an actual fight. Several of those spats at jobs I've had, but only within a band. I can't imagine punching somebody that I wasn't actually. Like, we weren't partners. Like, you have to have the same stakes to fight in a weird way. If you're both just working for someone else, what are you going to fight about? Who cares? I don't know. Yeah,
right.
Call me crazy.
I almost duked it out at. I was hosting a karaoke night at Blondie's.
Okay, first of all, I'm sorry, Tony. I'm going to let you tell this story. Zepp goes, well, I was hosting trivia night, and now you're going, I was hosting karaoke night. These are great fight stories.
Isn't it? How ridiculous.
Lincoln was the 16th president, you son of a bitch.
Well, this guy was upset because he thought he should have won with his Bob Dylan rendition. Oh. But no, and we actually took it out into the parking lot, and we started to circle, and the fists went up. Finally, it's like, what the hell are we doing? This is karaoke night. Are we going to wail on each other? And it kind of diffused, and then we did the old, hug it out.
Oh,
but I used to fight a lot.
Like West Side Story.
What song was he singing? What was it? Tell me it was. How
does it feel?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I used to fight. You probably seems strange. I used to fight a lot as a kid, almost daily. But like you said earlier, the trauma of it, I would get in the fight, and even though I'd win, I would cry.
I think your general demeanor, which is completely
a gentle jokester,
gentle, very very calm, and you're a walking olive branch for people. But I think what that is just a mask. I think you're a volcanic, just a source of pure rage lives right within you,
seething anger, volcanic.
Tony Lee always just a couple steps away from truly exploding into many pieces.
I'll be
that's
nicer. I savagely bully him when we're off the air. I'm going to rethink that. Those are the ones you have to watch out for, the quiet ones, because those were the ones that would get bullied at school. I'm thinking of a young man, Greg, that was in our school. We'll see. This might have been elementary, middle school age, and he always wore the same shirt every day, the same black shirt. Very poor family, right?
Sure.
And one of the guys would always bully him, constantly picking on him. Same shirt, same shirt. I think one day he even took a piece of chalk and marked the back of his shirt, kind of walked up and slapped him on the back. How you doing, Greg? The next day, the mark of chalk is there, and he's just embarrassing him. And Greg turns around and right there, just a smuck. Down goes the other guy, and I mean, he did that thing where he twitched on the floor for a minute and was out cold.
Yeah.
And Greg and that was Greg's one moment. That's all he had to do. He threw that one punch.
That's
No one brought up the shirt again. In fact, he sort of became a part of our group of friends. Then we're like, get in here, you old volcano, you.
Yeah, you gotta watch your back. So keep him in front of you. Candace, do we have a caller?
Adam from Blaine.
Adam, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. How are you, buddy?
All is well on this end, brother. What do you got for us?
So, I used to live back in Chicago.
Okay.
And ran some nightclubs at night. And we used to, unfortunately, had to fight all the time, including a couple celebrities we had to light up who came in.
Really?
Got a little handsy. Yep.
Oh, come on. Give us names, baby.
It was the Burnout from the Breakfast Club.
Oh, sure. Judd
Nelson.
Judd Nelson.
Yeah. Bender.
Yeah, well,
right.
He's
Mike
a troublemaker. Bender. You could see that. He tied his flannel around his waist.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep his hands off the waitresses behind, so we had to light him up and then throw him onto Rush Street and let the cops pick him up.
Wow. Well, he's actually on the show at 8. We'll ask him about it. He's got a new project. I'm kidding.
The other one is I am currently a principal at a high school.
Oh, boy.
And you want to see boys fight, jump in anytime you want. They really don't want to fight. They're just being little tough guys.
Sure.
You get two girls fighting, stay out of the way.
Yep.
Let them go.
The worst fight I ever saw at school was two girls. I've never saw two dudes have anywhere near that amount of violence. When two girls went off, it was unreal.
Hair ripped out, clothes torn, nails on the floor. It gets nasty.
Yeah, bless them. Hey, we got a hot brother, but I appreciate the call.
Yep. Good to see you too. Good to talk to you. Bye.
See it. Girl fight, man. Look out. Yeah. If Candace gets those claws out, I'm running. I am
Never been to that mud wrestling? It's crazy. Right now on the KQ92 Talk and Text line, we'll take two callers, 982-651-989-ROCK. We're playing Beat the Toaster for tickets to KQRS presents Judas Priest Thursday, May 2nd at the Armory. Prize provided by Live Nation. Tickets on sale now. And our runner-up today gets Minnesota Wild versus the Blues. That's happening Tuesday, the 28th at Excel. Prize provided by the Minnesota Wild. It is Grateful Dead night that night. 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, November the 17th. Whoo, baby. We have got a game to play, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to give away a choice. The winner gets a choice, either Judas Priest tickets, Thursday, May the 2nd, or much sooner than that, Tuesday, November 28th, Minnesota Wild versus St. Louis Blues tickets. That is Grateful Dead night at the Wild, and I imagine that will be kind of wild. Does that I'm not going to say that you should shroom your nuts off while you're at that game, but I would say that you probably wouldn't be alone if you chose to do so.
Couldn't hurt.
Can't think of anything that clashes more than Wild hockey and the Grateful Dead, but sure, mix it up.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I would love it if the Wild came out in tie-dye.
Oh, that would be cool.
I went to a Twins Grateful Dead night.
And
what happened?
And what happened?
We just wore tie-dye.
You just wore tie-dye?
Yep.
That was it?
Yep.
No acid?
Nope.
No weed?
No.
No shrooms?
Oh, gosh, no.
No peyote?
The players, however, stoned to the gills.
No whippets? Okay, fine. Fine, Candace. You want to go all mum on us.
It was fun. I mean, they played Grateful Dead songs, and everyone was happy. You can't really be an asshole at a thing like that.
Oh, yes, you
Wheeler.
can. Oh, yes, you can. I've seen some. Deadheads are the angriest people on earth. Trust me.
We were just posers then.
I've got stories. No, that's how they suck you in. They make you think they're having fun, and then you get on the inside, and then it's just, God, the rage is just it's unrelenting.
Pieces of facade.
That's neither here nor there. See, that's why it actually fits with hockey perfectly. That's a story for another day. The story right now is we want to give away tickets, and by God, we want to have fun doing it. So Tony, lay it on me.
Well, it's Friday, so we're going to joyfully play one of our favorites.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Toast. Toast. Toast.
I would like toast.
Toast. Who wants toast? I love toast.
When this guy put some bread in a toaster, you won't believe what happened next.
You've got bread and a toaster of some kind.
Can you make me a grilled cheese sandwich?
Your breakfast is ready.
I didn't hear a ding.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
All we need to do is beat the toaster.
Beat the toaster.
It's a game show. Beat the toaster.
Breakfast is ready.
Let's do it. Let's beat the toaster. What we do is we pop in a hypothetical slice of bread into the toaster here in the studio.
Nice.
And we're going to give you a category. Then you name as many things that pop into your head as possible in the 15 seconds it takes before the toast pops.
I like it.
Let's
a
do
lot.
It.
It's time to start the flop sweat, ladies and gentlemen. As we play along, we get excited and we get anxious. So I can only imagine what it's like for our two callers. Candace, who's caller number one?
Scott from St. Paul.
Scott, good morning.
Morning. How you doing?
All is well on this end. Are you ready for an anxiety-filled moment or two with Beat the Toaster?
I'll give it my best.
Attaboy.
All right, Scotty, here's your first one. Britney Spears is on a Ferris wheel. It gets stuck and she's upside down. What comes tumbling out of her purse? Go ahead.
Lipstick, mascara, dildo, glasses, earrings, money.
Yeah.
He stumped himself with dildo. You were rolling. You got to save the sex toys for last. That's the lesson on Beat the Toaster.
Yeah, right.
Lipstick, mascara, the aforementioned sex toy, and earrings. Did I miss one? I got 4.
No, I got 4.
All right.
You got one in right at the end there.
Not a bad effort, Scott. But you hit that home run with only 2 men on base. You got to wait and load them up next time. So sit tight. We're going to go to contestant number 2 for their first round. Candace, who's contestant number 2?
Jesse from Lonsdale.
Jesse, good morning.
Good morning.
You all right, brother?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Let's do it. Beat that toaster, Jesse.
All right, Jess. I ask you, if you had to punch an animal in the face, name some that might be able to actually take it. Go ahead.
Penguin. A penguin. A raccoon. A cat. A puppy. I know it sounds bad, but I think he could do it. I'm going to say a squirrel.
I like you got all verbal on us there, right?
Yeah.
You know, just he's playing with the time.
I went straight to kangaroo. I just picture boxing a kangaroo.
Yeah. See, I'm thinking like a rhino.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A
Gator.
hippo, a rhino, a black bear, a brown bear.
It's early in the morning. You guys are more creative than I am right now.
I just nothing's going to top the idea, the image of you punching a penguin, though. I can tell you that.
Or a puppy. Punching a puppy in the face.
Cat?
Wind up and
I like the
mush for the pup.
I like when Jesse said, "No, I know it sounds bad, but I think you can take it."
Right. That's explaining.
All right, Jesse. Well, you hit the boards running with 5. So right now you've got a slim lead over Scott. Hang tight. We're going back for round 2. Scott, Jesse's got you by 1, but round 2 is when we separate the wheat from the chaff. So good luck to you, sir.
All right, thanks.
Let's do it, Tony.
All right, sir. Put your thinking cap on. You're given the opportunity to spend the night with anyone, famous or not. Who are you hooking up with? Go ahead.
Britney Spears, Jessica Alba, Paul McCartney. Not sexual either.
Yes.
Jesus. No.
Was Jesus on the list?
Jesus is on the list. He's a historical figure.
How disappointing when his booty call shows up and she realizes it's not sexual in nature. Hooking up is definitely sexual.
Poor McCartney.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he's pitching.
You just never know.
I just figured I know how you guys are thinking over there, too.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's any port in a storm, a hole is a hole.
That's
a hole.
Oh, boy.
Those Shakespeare, I believe.
Only.
Let's just put let's just put a cap on this one right now.
Yes.
That's another 4. So Scott, you're sitting on a total of 8. Well played, sir. We're going to go back to Jesse for his round 2. Jesse, you've got to get at least 3 to tie. 4 will put you in the winner's chair. Good luck, sir.
I think you can do it, Jess.
Good.
All right.
I'm still thinking about Britney Spears and what's falling out of her purse.
Yeah, let's move on. We got to move on.
All right, mister. You finally scored an audition, and you've made the cheerleading squad. What are some cheers that you can offer up? Go.
Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. Let's go, Brittany. KQ's number 1. Minnesota Wild for the win. And hell yeah, Judas Priest, rock on forever. I don't know. Goddamn.
All right, not bad at all.
I liked his very last comment. That'd be a great book. I don't know. Damn.
You only got 3 in under the bell. However, you were in mid answer when the bell rang. So what that means, gentlemen, is we're looking at Scott with 8 and Jesse with 8. We have a tiebreaker situation.
Wow.
And so Tony's is this going to be a question that we need these gentlemen to answer, Tony?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay.
Let's
I mean, I'm not trying to tell you how to run your game show.
No, I think it makes it more exciting.
All right, so we're going to ask a question. Scott, we'll have you answer first, and then Jesse will get your answer.
All right.
Okay.
All right, this is exciting. All right, so you want to steal Taylor Swift away from Travis Kelce. Where do you take her on a date? Go.
To the bar, dancing, roller skating, hunting, bow hunting, snowmobiling.
Wow.
I'm going to disallow bow hunting because you already said hunting.
Whoa. There's hunting and then there's bow hunting. 2 very different things.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we go hunting. All of us go hunting. Any silly bastard can pull a trigger. Bow hunting, that's hunting.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So I think those are 2 different things, I think.
A passionate defense from counsel.
Right.
All right, we'll allow it.
Sir.
So does that? So what is that? What was that number? Is that 5 or was that 6? I think it was 5.
Yeah.
It was 5.
Oh, thank goodness
I screwed
for you,
it up
Candace.
with my.
No, that's all right. That's all
I
right.
appreciate that.
This is how it goes. All right, Scott, you got pulled back in by Zepp, so you're sitting on 5. Jesse, you got to hit at least 5, brother. Good luck to you.
All right, sounds good.
I believe you can do it. Now, if you had to eat only fabric, what are some that you might be willing to consume? Go.
Jesus. God dang it. Cotton. Whatever fabric. Damn it. Leather.
Go.
No. Vinyl.
Vinyl?
Cotton leather and vinyl.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh
Yeah.
man, that was
You bet.
Jesse.
I know that's.
Those are the best. Those are the best. God dang it's and Jesuses I've
Yep.
heard in a long time, Jesse. Well played. Cotton leather and vinyl are pretty spectacular answers, but it's not enough of them. So here's what we got. Scott, you have won. Beat the Toaster today. So you have a choice. You choose. Do you want Judas Priest tickets for May 2nd of next year, or do you want Wild and Blues Grateful Dead Night November 28th?
I'm going to take the Wild.
Wow. All right. So that means
Attaboy.
you're going to a hockey game next week. Jesse, you have Judas Priest tickets for May 2nd at the Armory. Gentlemen, a pleasure to have you both on the show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. Thanks for playing.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, it's hard to be verbose, during Beat the Toaster. It's got to practice word economy. That's why another reason I'd be so bad at it. I'd be thinking out loud, and I'd be lucky to get one in there. But that Beat the Toaster, that's over now. I feel like the rest of the day, hell, the weekend is just easy street now, just a smooth glide.
Let's
to
hope
get that behind us.
Let's hope that's the case. You can listen to KQRS on your phone. Stream 92 KQRS anywhere you go. It's also easy to do and kind of cool. Just tell your smart speaker, play 92 KQRS. Do it.
Yeah, do it. All right. We've got Jeff Belanger. How do you pronounce his name? Belanger? The author we've got coming up here at 8 o'clock.
We're going to find out. I, as an Orioles fan, I think it's Belanger, but we could.
Belanger. I almost went with Belanger. I like working horror into the holidays. Violent Night last year, that was my kind of holiday movie. That's what we're talking about. Spooky holiday traditions and monsters with Jeff. We'll find out how to pronounce his name at 8 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, November the 17th. Good morning. In 30 minutes, we're talking with Sam Ekstrom about the Vikings who head to Denver Sunday night. That's a very important ball game for both clubs. I'm looking very forward to that. But right now, it's time to get kind of freaked out. Jeff Belanger is on the horn with us on the KQ Morning Show. His new book, The Fright Before Christmas, Surviving Krampus and Other Yuletide Monsters, Witches, and Ghosts. Jeff, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Steve. Good to be with you.
Okay, listen, I guess I'm too old to not having known this before, but to me, Christmas is all about nice, happy moments around the fire, and there's little elves, and there's Santa Claus, and now at the old age of 58, I find out there's Krampus, and I got a bunch of crap to be afraid of. What is happening here?
Well, then it's a good thing I'm here to warn you that these monsters have been lurking in the dark, in the shadows, for many, many, many centuries, and they're coming back. They're coming back. Krampus, you may know, because, of course, he got a movie deal back in 2015.
Okay.
And once that happens, you blow up. But Krampus has been around for centuries. He's a monster. He's covered in fur, and he's got horns and a long forked tongue. And he comes around on December 5th, snatches up all the naughty children, takes them back to his lair, and kills them. So by the time Christmas comes along, all the good girls and boys can get presents and toys.
Okay, by the way, I'm not trying to be funny. This is all new to me. I'm sitting here in absolute shock. So children around the world have been terrified of the month of December for centuries.
Centuries, and it's all centered on the winter solstice. It's the shortest day. It's the longest night. If you think of the year as like a clock, the winter solstice is midnight. It is dark, and you're in Minneapolis. You know it's cold, and you're looking down the barrel of a gun that is winter that's coming, and it's a time to be afraid, because if you go outside and you look, winter kills everything. It kills the flowers, the grass, the trees, lakes and ponds are frozen solid. It kills absolutely everything. It's a time to be scared.
So much for the holiday cheer. My God.
Is this, have we sort of, was it always kind of, Jeff, I mean, before Christmas became what we turned it into here in the United States with Coca-Cola post-World War II, there's still some of that lingering in the you've got to be nice, right? Or you've got to be a good child or you don't get any presents. Was it originally to scare the kids into being good? And then we just sort of watered it down a little bit.
That's exactly what happened. So originally, that was the consequence. And also, by the way, not just keep you good, but sometimes keep you safe. So, for example, in Iceland, you've got the grilla, who's a troll who comes down from the mountains and eats any children, good or bad, because it's dangerous to be out there in the cold at night. I mean, in Reykjavik, there's only 4 hours of sunlight around the solstice. So if you're outside caught in the mountains in the cold in the winter, whether the grilla kills you or the elements kill you, what's the difference? You know, so you talk about these monsters to try to keep your kids safe, but they were the consequence. Like you, I grew up and said, you know, oh God, yeah, I'll get less presents or I'll get coal and sticks. Big deal. And I know, Steve, you said you're just hearing about Krampus now, but I'm going to tell you, actually, you've known about Krampus probably your entire life. He just went by a different name. He was green, he had fur, and everybody else called him the Grinch. But if you don't think that that's a derivative of Krampus, I mean, take another look.
Yeah, really. I mean,
So naive.
We focus on how the societies have advanced and technology's been a part of that. I think we're sleeping on the fact that we're just not having as many children eaten by around the holidays. That's a huge advancement in society.
I think Krampus rocks. I think he's misunderstood. I think he's just trying to have some fun, you know, during the holidays. We actually, Jeff, have a Minnesota Krampus Society.
Yep.
Here. I don't know if you know about it. Sounds like you do.
There's a bunch everywhere. Go on.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. So how many are there?
I have no idea, but I'll tell you this. I live in New England. I got to attend the Krampus Ball several times now, and there was something like 30 or 40 Krampuses, and we're talking like cosplay level of detail. I mean, this isn't something they threw together. This is an investment in time and money, and they hold this ball. It started in Austria and Germany, but when something is fun and awesome, it spreads, and that's what's happening. So these Krampus runs today, they'll carry a switch of sticks, and instead of just abducting children and taking them back and killing them and eating them, now they just sort of hit you in the leg with a switch of sticks to try to drive out the bad spirits, which you know, because otherwise it would make national headlines and all that other stuff.
Sure.
It gets messy.
We're talking with Jeff Belanger on the KQ Morning Show. Surviving Krampus, The Fright Before Christmas, I should say The Fright Before Christmas, Surviving Krampus and Other Yuletide Monsters is the book. Jeff, you mentioned you live in New England. New England is just chock full of ghosts and all sorts of crazy lore in that regard, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. You know, I think we just take our ghosts as a little more matter of fact around here. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big discussion of religion or spirituality. It's just like, yeah, that place is haunted. A couple people died there. People are spooked. we like you, we hibernate. And in the winter, we sit around and we share these stories. You know, right. we talk. We have time on our hands. We've got seasonal affective disorder. We got to fill the time.
So that all checks out. Your show, right. New England Legends, on Amazon. I've seen it on Amazon. You've been chasing ghosts and looking after, pursuing these stories for years. Was this something was this from do you remember, like, as a kid being fascinated with this, or was there a moment, did you have an experience where suddenly you were like, oh, I got to go find out about this?
So this is where my pedigree comes into it. So I grew up in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, and I know you've heard of it now, but
sure.
the town next to Sandy Hook is Monroe, Connecticut, and that's where Ed and Lorraine Warren live. And Ed and Lorraine Warren, of course, are featured in all the Conjuring movies and all the... So I've known them since I was 13 years old. Back before they were international stars and had their own movie deals, they were just local, like, strange folks that would go around in October and give these talks about all the haunted places. So I was attending that as a teenager. And again, you know, where I lived, people were sort of matter of fact. I had a buddy who lived in a house that was built in 1760, and he said, yeah, an old guy lives with us. He appears from time to time. And I was just sort of fascinated as a kid, and then I grew up to be a writer, started as a journalist, doing feature stories on this stuff, and then it evolved into a career that one could never have planned on, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
It's fantastic. I saw in your bio you've been ghost hunting literally all over the world, and it mentioned a former TB asylum in Kentucky. Where was that?
Oh, yeah, Waverly Hills Sanatorium. It's that is such a frightening place. It's been on all the shows. My day job is I'm the writer and researcher for the show Ghost Adventures, which is now on Discovery.
Oh yeah.
And so that's a place we filmed at. I've been there multiple times. It's 400 rooms. Tuberculosis was a huge global killer. Still is, by the way, just mainly under control in this country. And And when you walk into that place, I don't consider myself psychic or sensitive or otherwise, but when you walk into a place where so many people died and so many were fighting for breath, and it's decrepit and old and dark, and the windows are gone, and it's open to the elements, I mean, you just feel something. You connect because you can only imagine what those human beings went through, knowing, like, imagine you're being brought to this facility, and just knowing that you're being brought there, you're not doing well. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, as a person, you're walking in going, I am probably not leaving here under my own power. Wow. And you just feel the emotion in those bricks.
Because the holidays are a time for family, is it are the spirits more likely to contact us, to be a little bit more restless during that time of the year?
Well, if you think about it, everything you know about what you're supposed to feel about Christmas and the holidays was told to you in a ghost story. The greatest ghost story ever written by a master, right? Charles Dickens wrote a Christmas Carol where Scrooge is haunted by 4 ghosts, right? Jacob Marley and then the 3 others. And that story really defines that we need to go into a dark place, because how can you see the light unless you're in a dark place, right? And it's literally dark. The sun sets so early, right? And then you got to go and face your own ghosts, your own demons. In some cultures, ghosts and spirits of our loved ones are as relevant as they were when they were alive. They're invited to family dinners. They're invited to holiday feasts. You leave out food for them. This isn't unusual in other countries, and just in our country, because like you said, post-World War II, Santa Claus, we sort of watered the whole thing down and turned it into consumerism. But I think those old traditions are sort of working their way back. And that's the beauty of the holiday. You get to define it every single year. It can be whatever you need it to be. You can bring in, what you need, and you can leave out what you don't like. And the thing is, it used to be the most inclusive holiday ever, because if you live in a place that's affected by the winter solstice, then that's it. We're all in this together, whether you're Jewish or Hindu or Buddhist or Christian or whatever. But then, it turned into this religious holiday, and I would sort of like to see it go back to its roots, where we just sort of all look out for each other, because winter is tough. It's still tough. And it's a time to get together, give gifts, put our differences aside, and then we can fight again in the spring.
That's really wonderfully thought out and stated, but at the same time, I have such a burning desire to just go to the Caribbean now. This is freaking me out. I'm just like, screw you, I'm going to the equator, man. I got to get somewhere warm and sunny. This is doing me in. You've traveled literally all over the world chasing ghosts. Has there been one moment that stands out as literally you were the most spooked in your travels?
Yeah, so it was probably the first time I saw what I would say is a ghost, and it was in 2003, and I was in Paris, France, and I was alone in the catacombs below the city, and because no one else would go with me.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. So you walk down there, and you suddenly come to this doorway that says in French, "Stop. This is the Empire of the Dead." And when you walk through, there are millions of human skeletons all around you in this very macabre, very intricate pattern. Yep. And as I was walking down a long hallway, and if you've been there, you remember, if you were to put your arms out in both directions, you'd be touching skulls on either side.
Oh, yeah.
That's about how narrow. And I'm walking down that hallway, and I stopped because a shadow the size of a man stepped out from one side, went to the other, and back again. And I just froze. And I went, oh, well, wait a minute. And I thought, okay, well, no one came from behind me. I thought, well, maybe there's a side tunnel up there. But nope, it was straight all the way to the end. And I thought, if that's not a ghost, I don't have another word for what it is that I'm seeing right now. And I froze. It's just, that's the kind of thing it takes days and weeks to fully sink in. And it changes you. You never forget it once you see something like that.
I would imagine so. Yeah, I lasted I looked in. I shouldn't say I did the whole walk in the catacombs. I went down there, checked it out, got enough in 30 seconds of okay, this is exactly what I thought. I've seen more than I need.
You know what it is too, Steve? You feel your own mortality, because those are all dead people, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, that's where we're all headed. Not the catacombs per se, but we will all be bones and then dust at some point. And you can't help but sort of check yourself when you're in those situations. Same like when you go to a funeral, right? You feel your own mortality and realize oh man, this is me one day, And what mark do we leave? What ghost or spirit do we leave behind? How do we live our lives knowing that?
Yeah. Wow. Jeff Belanger's with us on the KQ Morning Show. I grew up right near Adams, Tennessee, where the Bell Witch is from. Are you familiar with those stories?
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing about the Bell Witch. We filmed the Ghost Adventures episode there, too, in the cave.
Oh, I will track it down and watch it.
So, whenever someone says, like, hey, a ghost can't hurt you, right? I always tell people, like, no, a ghost can't hurt you. But there's this one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Kate wasn't playing.
There's this one in the Bell Witch Caves. Allegedly, she killed a man. So the ghost of a spirit, right, allegedly killed a man and with poison. And that's the one story where you go, but and now the cave is so haunted and obviously inspired, partially the Blair Witch and other things. But yeah, no, Tennessee has no shortage of haunts, whether it's Civil War sites or old buildings.
Right.
Haints, right? You got Haints.
That's right.
Haints down there.
Jeff, what's your holy grail? Is there one story you haven't tracked yet that you're dying to get into?
There's one holy grail that I got so super close. I had the chance years ago to go into the White House and I wrote a book about the ghosts of the White House, and I got a tour. I got to interview some of the staff all through like the main floor and everything else. But the holy grail would be to get upstairs and be able to spend the night in the Lincoln bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
I was informed only by invite of the first family, and because I like to keep my presidential campaign contributions right about at zero,
Sure.
I don't think I'm ever going to get invited, but you never know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's fantastic. All right, well, the new book, The Fright Before Christmas, Surviving Krampus and Other Yuletide Monsters, is out. It looks fantastic. I have to ask, as a Baltimore Orioles guy, are you related to Mark Belanger by any chance?
I am indeed related to Mark Belanger.
Yes!
He's from Pittsfield, Massachusetts. He's a third cousin. Rest his soul. Never got to meet him in life, but yes, indeed, he's like a third cousin.
Maybe a spirit will visit you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. He had a hell of a glove. I got his autograph on my Little League glove as a kid. Man, all right, you're the only other Belanger I've ever spoken to, so I took a shot. It's a pleasure to chat with you, Jeff. All the best with the book.
You too. Thanks a lot. Great to be with you.
See ya. That guy can't go anytime he's in Maryland. I guarantee you. Are you related to Mark Belanger?
Right.
He just dogs him.
He's fun.
Yeah, that's the ghost. That's on his trail.
It's becoming a thing. I think it went away since the pandemic, but I remember a haunted house being open 1819 because it had such a great name right here in the cities. Seasons Bleedings, a holiday shopping makers fair or something like that out of one of the malls. It's kind of fun. People kind of want to work them into. You think you get it out of your system during Shocktober, but
no, that was great, and props to Candace, because the other day she goes, "We're going to talk to this guy about Krampus," and I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." She goes, "Just do it. You're going to like it." So,
yeah, I said that, and then
Candace.
You came in my studio, and you're like, "Who's this?" Would you say Krampus guy?
I said today, what's Krampus?
Who has cramps?
Yeah, really. I was like, isn't that what my doll is for? Get it?
I love Krampus.
I know you do, and I'm glad that we made that happen. But let's move on. Let's move on,
football.
shall we?
I love Vikings football. Big test for them. They're headed up to Denver. Up to Denver. That's how you say it out west. It's not down south. It's up in elevation. This Sunday night, we have our Vikings insider, Sam Ekstrom. He's boiled it all down for us, and we'll talk to him at 8:30 about the Vikes. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, November 17th, and on Sunday, November 19th, the Vikings will be in Denver for the Sunday night matchup. This is a game with a million fascinating storylines, and right now Sam Ekstrom is joining us to discuss. Sam is the host and Vikings insider for the podcast network Locked On Minnesota. Sam, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm great. And boy, 5 or 6 weeks ago, this would have been the worst game imaginable. This is two teams that were both, I believe, 1-4 not that long ago. And now the Vikings with the longest winning streak in the league. And the Broncos also only at 4-5, but clearly turning that ship around. But I'm looking through, Sam, I'm just taking a quick cursory look. It seems like every sharp guy I follow in football is picking the road underdog Vikings in this one.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I think the Vikings are still the better team. But, man, I don't know who was lower, the Broncos or the Vikings. Like you mentioned, they both started 1-4. Broncos 70 points at Miami.
Amazing.
Does not get much lower than that. So they might have won the bottoming out contest. But here they come. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Packers. They beat the Bills. And they're doing it primarily with their defense. And that's kind of resembling what the Vikings have been doing. Obviously, the Vikings have some more weapons offensively, but they've been, having a defensive resurgence of their own. So I think this will be a good test for Josh Dobbs, who goes into probably his most harrowing environment yet against a secondary that's really good. They're getting reinforcements back. Meanwhile, the Vikings are a little banged up right now. They've been dealing with attrition a lot of injuries, playing through a lot of stuff and doing well. But there's got to be a breaking point, and the Vikings are, again, they're probably going to lose a cornerback, Caleb Evans, this weekend. Jordan Hicks is on the IR now. So they're still going through that, and we'll see who comes out the other side better.
Sam, let's talk about Josh Dobbs now in all of his third week in camp. Any stories coming out? There was something about maybe an ankle. How is he feeling? What's the team feeling like his progress? I imagine by now he knows the playbook as half as well as the coaching staff.
Yeah, ankle's good, by the way. I think that was just something precautionary that showed up on the injury report, but he'll be fine. He'll be good to go. The playbook stuff is really fascinating because, and Chip Scoggins wrote a good piece about this in the Star Tribune, how rare it is for a quarterback to look this comfortable in an offense 2 weeks after getting here, because there's this myth about spending time in the off season and spending time in training camp with your teammates and building chemistry in that way. And Josh Dobbs didn't do any of that, and he looks like an absolute natural. He did work out in the summer with T.J. Hawkinson, kind of on a whim, and it seems like that connection has carried over, which is pretty cool. But, yeah, I think every week he adds a little bit more knowledge to, what he's bringing to the table in the huddle on offense. And I don't think it's all going to be there for him, but I think he's getting more and more comfortable in it. I don't know if he can, get a master's degree in a couple weeks in this offense, but he's making it look pretty easy.
Yeah, well, talk about Hawkinson then. That's been his go-to guy. They've had some connection, and of course he's that all-important tight end, big guy in the middle of the field when a quarterback's still learning. And, well, Mahomes does it with Kelsey. He just admitted on the Manning cast that he's always, when he gets into trouble, he's looking for Kelsey. Hawkinson, last we saw, went 15 rounds with the Saints secondary. Some ribs issues. How's he been practicing? Is he all good to go Sunday?
Yeah, so he's been limited in practice, but he says he's going to be good to go. He doesn't want to come off the field, and I think it's a pain tolerance thing. I think this is one of those cases where they armor him up, they wrap it up and try to get some extra protection. You could see in the Saints game he was hurting. I mean, he was going through it. I think he kind of fell on the football one time, right on his rib cage, and that didn't feel good. And you might see more of that. And I think it's probably, I mean, I don't want to say this for certainty, but we know Sean Payton's history as a head coach, where his defense likes to target guys. Well, they know where the weaknesses are. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're really trying to rough T.J. Hawkinson up on Sunday, and he'll have to play through that. But I think he's going to be on the field.
And this is where the quarterback, keeps the balls down. You talk about those whenever we'd have a wide out or a tight end with some rib issues. They'd be like, keep that ball down. Don't make me reach up for it kind of thing. Get the ball down. So maybe not as many, maybe more in routes and that sort of thing, and not, run away, try and get the ball up and over routes. But, we'll need Hawkinson, and he'll play. He's a gamer.
And you mentioned, not throwing the ball too high. Like, KJ Osborne 2 weeks ago, Dobbs kind of hung him out to dry over the middle. He had to reach back for a football, got put in a compromising position, and then got kind of a double whammy helmet-to-helmet hit, which knocked him out for a week with a kind of a scary concussion. So bad stuff can happen when you throw it over the middle like that. And Hawkinson has been just a really comfortable kind of underneath target for Dobbs so far. He's a good check-down guy, and that might be a good spot to keep him in until he really feels 100%.
Sam Ekstrom's with us on the KQ Morning Show. Statistically, Russell Wilson's having a heck of a year. It certainly sort of betrays the eyeball test that I see week in and week out. That offense has yet to really fully click. Like you said, they've turned this around largely on their defense. That's the kind of offense I think the Vikings D when healthy, would have a field day with. Do you see the Broncos offense? Is it getting better, or is it just kind of? I mean, is it something that is there anything they're going to bring that the Vikings haven't seen yet this year?
No, I mean, I don't think it's a particularly threatening offense. I think Russell Wilson has elevated his game, though, under Sean Payton from a bottom-of-the-barrel quarterback last year to a middle-of-the-road quarterback this year, that's important for Denver. I mean, they had to invest in Russell. The contract is too onerous for them to get out from him, so they had to make it work. And they seem to have found a nice middle ground this year. Now, he's not throwing the ball as much as he did in Seattle there at the end. His receivers are talented, but a little inconsistent. Cortland Sutton, I think, is very good. Jerry Jeudy shows a lot of flashes. And the one thing Russell's done is he's been very good under pressure when he's able to get the throw off. Now, he does take a lot of sacks. He does put the ball on the ground. And I think this is a quarterback that you can hassle a little bit. You can get him on the ground. You can get losses of 8, 10, 12, and put them in compromising situations. But he has been a little less mistake prone this year. He's looked a little more competent in this offense, and he's had the Vikings number in past years too. So I mean, I think the Minnesota's got to be cautious going up against a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think in Russell Wilson, especially with the way the Broncos are rolling and the way the Vikings are a little banged up.
Sam, is Anthony Barr going to be active?
My gut would say no.
Really?
I just think he's a little too fresh in this defense to play a meaningful role. I could be wrong about that, but I do look at their linebacker depth, and you know what? It might come down to Brian Asamoah has been limited with his own injury, and if he is able to go, that gives them a key piece at linebacker where they have a little bit of depth. Then they would have Asamoah, Troy Dye, Nick Vigil, other players that could fill in who have a little more experience. If he can't go, then Barr might get activated. That's a good question because it's not like Barr can step in and know the defense. It's totally different than it was under Mike Zimmer. I still think he needs a week, but I think that with Jordan Hicks out long term, they might call him up next week if required.
Sam, as we look ahead, maybe it's a little premature, but Dobbs has obviously really done something pretty special and very unique and kind of unprecedented just in a couple of starts. If he continues to have this kind of success, I'm not saying if he runs the table, but let's just say he wins, all but most of the games he plays, if he gets better and better and better. I mean, is there already a thought in your head that this could be the guy they commit? I mean, could Josh Dobbs play himself into the replacement for Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, it's crazy to say, but he could definitely play himself into the conversation. The part that's a little bit unsettling is that if he plays that well, Steve, there's going to be other suitors. There's going to be a bidding war for his services. The Vikings ran into this with Case Keenum back in 2017, where Keenum goes 11-3, makes the NFC Championship game, and then he went to Denver on a big contract, and the Vikings decided, well, you don't have the track record for us to be able to commit to you at that number for that many years. And that actually proved to be a good decision on the Vikings' part because Keenum turned back into a pumpkin.
Right.
And the thinking might be the same with Dobbs. Like, at most, you'll have played 9 games in Minnesota. Let's say you go 6-3. Is that enough evidence for us to give you $25 million a year? Because as expensive as quarterbacks are now, that might be what it takes to get Josh Dobbs after that small a sample size, which is crazy. But the Vikings will have some very difficult decisions to make. And if the number is that big, then do you just turn around and say, well, we can give that to Kirk Cousins, who's a little more proven, I guess. It's a very fascinating, and it's a situation that I wouldn't envy, to be in for Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah.
Right, that's why they get paid the big bucks. Well, us fans can start thinking about the playoffs now, can't we? I mean, you look at the NFC, and win or lose tonight, looking at the schedule and how it plays out against the Lions here in the NFC North and who wins that, but just from a wild card position, they're in a great spot because you've got the Cowboys and the Seahawks in the mix. Of course, the Seahawks, 49ers, who knows how that's going to go in the West, but and then the rest of the league is below 500. So, I mean, we can really start thinking about, this is a playoff team now.
Yeah, I was looking at that this week too, Zep. And the only team that you even semi-worry about is Tampa Bay because they have the tiebreaker over you. But is anyone really concerned about Baker Mayfield? I don't think so. Their schedule isn't the toughest, but they do have San Francisco this week. They could fall to 4-6. If the Vikings win, they'd have a 2.5-game cushion there. Yeah. No one's coming for them. I mean, the Washington schedule is an absolute gauntlet. It's not going to be them. The Packers are more or less in tank mode. It's the Vikings there to lose. I mean, the real focus needs to be the 5 seed, because whoever gets the 5 seed then gets a first-round matchup against like an 8-9 champion of the NFC South. That's the coveted first-round matchup this year. So you want to be the 5. So can the Vikings hot Dallas, hot Seattle? That's really what we got to be watching for down the stretch.
Sam Ekstrom's with us on the KQ Morning Show. All right, Sam, it's time to stake your entire reputation. What's your pick for Sunday night?
Something kind of tells me that the Vikings might be due for a slip-up. I know, Mr. Negative here. I've picked the Vikings consecutive weeks in a row. I think Denver surprise them. I think a 22-20 final score. Again, Russell Wilson's not going to do anything special. I just think the Vikings will struggle to get in the end zone a little bit against the secondary. So I think Denver in a squeaker. But I think the Vikings are, I think like we just talked about, still in good position if they drop this one. But Denver, they're catching Denver at the wrong time.
Yeah, well, actually, that's very well said. That's exactly what could be the deciding factor, timing. Coming off a couple of really, really incredible, unexpected wins, and then the Broncos just slowly biding their time and turning it around slowly. Sam, it's always a pleasure, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Steve.
You got it. Hey, the 92 KQRS kickback jackpot is at $11,000. 11 G's, ladies and gentlemen. You can meet up with Woody and Bud Light at the Lone Oak Bar and Grill during the first half of Sunday night's game. 7 p.m. kickoff, and sign up for the kickback jackpot. If the first play of the second half is a kickoff return for a touchdown by either Minnesota or Denver, you could win $11,000. If not, we're going to roll that prize money over to the next game and add another $1,000 to the pot. Complete contest rules at 92kqrs.com. That's Lone Oak Bar and Grill, Sunday night.
Americans were asked, what's most important? Sex? Alcohol? Chocolate? Wi-Fi? Think about it. We'll have our answers and the results at 9. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, November 17th. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone, David Coverdale sang. He originally wrote that line. This is a true story. Like a hobo, I was born to walk alone. Hobo. It was like that. You got to change that.
That doesn't fit.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. That doesn't sound nearly as, and of course, it brings to memory the fact that as a kid, I was a Halloween hobo more than once.
Oh, yeah, it's everybody's first costume.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Nothing like a man willing to walk the tracks. Hobo.
We went every day to school as a hobo, Steve. We were poor. I find that offensive.
Hey, man, let me tell you, there's some Gorman family slides of the 3 youngest boys on their way to school, and you've never seen more patches on jeans, never seen more patches on shirts. I mean, good God almighty.
Yeah, well, patches were cool back in the 70s, man. You had mushrooms and cars, all sorts of cool patch kits.
That's very true. I did think it was just like cool. I didn't realize they were just saving dollars really more than anything else. Zep, you mentioned a moment ago. A lot of people were asked a new survey asking folks. Okay, here I'm gonna list 4 things, and I want you to know which one would you have the hardest day if you had to go without. What's the most important thing? And the 4 things that you have to choose from are sex, alcohol, chocolate, and Wi-Fi.
I get so much of all 4 of those every day.
Yeah, I was like, there was a time in my life when I would have, when I probably all 4 every day. Well, no, not the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
By the time that Wi-Fi was up and running and everywhere, there was 2 toddlers in the house, so it wasn't an everyday thing.
Well, for my single years, I needed that Wi-Fi for sex, but not so much anymore.
No. 40% picked Wi-Fi. I would have the hardest making it through the day without Wi-Fi. And that'd be mine, because I don't drink alcohol every day. I don't have chocolate every day. I don't have sex every day. I am on Wi-Fi every day.
Yeah.
But if you give me like 7 days without Wi-Fi, I'd probably never come back.
Yeah, right? I mean, once you realize you can live without it, that life's okay, maybe even happier, less stressful without it.
I'd get a lot of books read. I'd get a lot of things done. A lot more records listened to. I kind of feel like that would be pretty great.
I've been trying to do that on the weekends. Leave the phone behind, just disconnect, unplug, that sort of thing. Pick up the books and just get outside and do stuff. You do fidget for a while, but once you get out there and really get into it, it's enjoyable. It is. But then you come racing back to it on Sunday night and go, oh my God, what did I miss? Oh geez. Oh okay. I got all this stuff to get.
How am I gonna text boys if I don't have Wi-Fi or anything like that? I gotta keep my boys in line.
Just gonna have to stalk them.
How did you guys do it back in the day?
Well, I can tell you this,
we got
Candace,
away with a lot of shit.
I can tell you this, Candace. My mom would say to you, now, a lady doesn't call a boy. She waits for the boy to call her.
Whoa.
I heard that once. I got
Yeah.
my high school girlfriend called my house and asked for me, and I talked to her, and I hung up, and my mom said, honey, a girl shouldn't call a boy.
It's not proper.
And I was like, it's 1981, and I'm like, what do you think this is, 1950?
Yeah.
This is the 80s, man. Get with it.
Wasn't that the greatest feeling, though, if you got a call from a girl?
Oh, heck yeah. It's incredible. My mom also wouldn't let me. The first time I was flying on a plane, she was like, no, you're not wearing that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what? I'm going on a plane. She's like, that's right. And you dressed up to fly.
Yeah, right.
It's like, wow. Okay, fair enough.
That's long gone. Everybody's in sweats.
Yeah, and man, I saw a photo. Who was it the other day? I can't even remember. It was either a political figure or an actor or a singer. It was some famous person, but someone got a photo of them coming out of an airplane lavatory in bare feet.
Funny.
No.
JFK Jr.?
That's who it was. It was RFK Jr. Yeah.
RFK Jr.
RFK
sorry.
Jr. Like, come on.
Oh, JFK Jr., went down in the drink. He nosedived his plane. Sorry about that. RFK.
Yeah, that was a terrible day when JFK Jr., that plane crash, I'll never forget it. Not because of the plane crash, but because I had food poisoning. I was sick that whole day. It was terrible. I was like, man, I know you guys are all upset about John, but you have no idea what's going on in my John right now.
You don't know real tragedy.
Little Portuguese mayo turned on me.
Oh.
Yeah.
You haven't lived until you have flown from Lisbon to Amsterdam with a bad gut full of Portuguese mayo.
Yeah.
Man,
I hope I never lived that.
Candace, Wi-Fi, sex, chocolate, or alcohol? Which one are you eliminating first?
Eliminating first.
Yes.
I guess chocolate.
Okay.
And then alcohol.
Okay.
And then sex, and then Wi-Fi.
All right.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
All right.
Yeah. Sensible.
I got it. A+.
Yeah, you have won. You have won the day. Congratulations. This is. I thought of you, Candace, when I just saw this too. As you give weather updates, apparently artificial intelligence. They continue to find actual good uses for AI as opposed to, like missile systems becoming sentient and killing us all. Like I always imagine is going to happen.
Right.
Researchers have found artificial intelligence can predict the weather 10 days ahead far more accurately than current state-of-the-art simulations. The GraphCast AI model, which was developed at something called Google DeepMind. DeepMind. Google's crazy enough. They have a DeepMind section, apparently. This model of AI is using 4 decades of weather data. Do you say data or data up here? Data? Okay. 4 decades of weather data from satellites, radar, and ground measurements, and then it uses readings taken from more than 1 million points around the planet all day, every day. They're still trying to perfect it, but they've gotten accurate predictions on more than 90% of their predictions. Seriously, it's like that. Okay, I'm down for that. I'm happy to know that the weather is going to be far more accurately predicted moving forward.
There's a lot of meteorologists who are pulling at their collar right now.
Yeah, I'll just go home then.
Well, you know what? We still need, I mean, we all want a more accurate weather prediction. Those of us that love to get outside 365, we'd like better weather prediction forecast. But we still need the goofball to take the polar plunge and go, hey, you guys, or, look super sexy or super hot on TV to deliver it to us. We need that human touch, until we perfect the robot. I was reading on AI a whole bunch of things this morning that AI can now generate faces that look more human than actual human faces. People are doing that online. They're glamorizing their photos. And there was a new study this morning that said that we're going to start running out of things to teach AI in 2026. Watch 2026. That's when it all goes.
That's going to be the end of it. I do like the idea of someone at a local NBC affiliate somewhere just got the documentation back after they legally changed their name to Rain Showers. Rain Showers, and someone's like, "Nah, don't worry about it. I got an iPad. You're no longer necessary."
I mean, despite my perfectly accurate weather reports, I actually like to be surprised by the day. I like to see how the day turns out. I don't even need a weather report.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, aren't you just young and carefree?
Right, and always headed into a bar. I didn't care either if I had to dash from the car. Am I going to get a little wet today? But if you're going to spend the entire day outside on the lake or skiing or hunting or something like that, you need some
I just want to stand out there and feel it, and just I'll feel it and I'll change it with my soul.
Let's wear layers.
Yeah, layer up.
No, I'm just too old and grumpy. I need to know what I'm getting into before I leave the house. And I leave a house, and I like a bug-free house. But check this out. Here's another one that I find interesting. A pest control company. They are called Pest Informer. They are offering Pest Informer. I wish it was Pest Informant.
Yeah, right.
That'd be cool.
That's cooler.
A cockroach has said that there's some army ants getting ready to make a move. Pest Informant. Pest Informer is offering $2,500 to anyone who would be willing to let them infest your home with cockroaches in order to test out a new pest control technique to exterminate them. Yeah, I thought it was 25 large. I thought it was 25,000, and then I just realized it's 2,500. You have to allow the company to film inside your home for 30 days. $2,500. That's crazy. It's ridiculous. Damn. 30 days. If the new technique fails, then they will resort to traditional methods to clear the home of the creepy critters. Traditional methods don't work anyway. What do you? No, you don't want to introduce a bunch of cockroaches and then go, well, if this new experiment doesn't work, we'll go back to the old-fashioned way, which is cheesecloth and peanut butter or whatever the hell. There's always some nonsense, uncle with a plan. I've never seen a cockroach ever since I got that Drano and Tang combination going.
Yeah, once they're in there, they're squatters.
Yeah, spearmint water. That was it. I had a landlord one time. I'm like, hey, man, when I turn on the lights, my entire floor moves.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? And he was, a hippie landlord, which I was totally digging at the time, very bohemian. And he brought over some spearmint water. He's like, here, just spray this spearmint water around. That didn't get rid of him. You know what get rid of him? Just good old toxic poison and lots of it.
Sure. Yeah. That checks out.
Cancer-causing toxic poison. That's what gets rid of bugs.
Yeah, I'm not. I got some bugs going on. A couple things. Seen a few just lately, and I don't get eek and grossed out and freaked out by bugs, but I'd just rather not have to kill bugs in a day. It's just one of those oh, come on, really? Let's go. Just get the winter here soon enough.
Leave the centipedes alone.
I don't mess with centipedes.
No, because they wipe out billions of other bugs.
No, and
it's very tempting because they're creepy.
No, they're like possums. You could do, man. If you got an opossum, a possum. If you got possums in your neighborhood, do you know how many ticks possums eat in a day? They're like tick magnets. There's thousands. It's crazy. I didn't know there was so many ticks out there.
I saw one in the North Loop, a possum, just running right down. I thought it was a big rat. It was just a possum out there on 2nd Avenue.
That possum's your buddy.
Yeah, no, they're good. And,
I had right when we moved to Tennessee in 2004. I turned into the neighborhood. It was at night, and the headlights right in the middle of the road. Boom! There's a big possum, and right as I saw him, I hit the brakes, and I'm like, but the car had gone over him, and I'm like, I'm just waiting to see him like move, and then I'm like, because I don't want to run him over. I mean, he's like under the car, and I'm thinking, oh crap, he's not going to. That's what it is. I was like, he's not going anywhere. He's going to play possum.
Right.
And I'm waiting, and then I literally am going to open the door, and then I just imagine those little razor sharp teeth, and I was like, if I put my foot down, he'll get my Achilles. I really got spooked. I just thought I'm going to have this really aggressive possum, and so I waited, and I literally waited for 3 minutes, and I'm laughing at myself that I'm so stressed out about it, and then I was like, oh screw it, and I accelerated and just boom. One of the back tires ran right over him. And I truly felt horrible. And a couple days later, we had a big thunderstorm, and I go out the next day after the storm and to take the trash out. You know, you got we call them Herbie Kirby's down there. You know, the trash bin that you roll out to the alley to have the garbage truck. I walk out, and I open one up and put the trash in, and the other one had been blown open, and there's got water in it from a big storm, and there's 3 young possums, and they're just treading water, and they've been in there for hours. I mean, they were literally like close to going under, and I'm like, and I tilt the thing over, and I
close the lid.
I pour all the I poured the water out, and then they're all just laying there on the side on my little back parking deck, and they're just exhausted. And I was like, I can redeem myself for running over the possum. And I went and I got a box and I put them in there so they could dry. And then I put it in the fenced-in yards to safety from other vermin. And they dried off, and then they were all okay. I set them free the next day, and I did my part because that's just how neurotic I am about that.
A little towel and patted them dry.
I got the hairdryer. I put the extension cords. I went back there, and it's amazing. If you tease the hair on a possum, you can get a lot of good looks going.
You go run free.
I truly was. I look back and I'm like, what the hell? What was wrong with me? But it really wound me up. I just hated that I ran that one guy. If I ran over an animal just driving along at full speed, you're like, oh, come on, animal, look out. But the fact that I stopped and that I was worried about him, and then he still was too dumb to get out from under the car, I was like, these things are stressful.
Yeah. Somewhere that possum looked down on you and went, you're okay, Steve. You're all right.
It's a 3-for-1 deal, man. 3 for 1.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Friday, November the 17th. Led Zeppelin's Black Dog right there from Led Zeppelin 4. Yesterday on this very show, we had Peter Jesperson in studio, the man who started Twin Tone Records, the man who signed and then managed the Replacements, ran New West Records for years. He's had a fascinating career. His wife was here as well, and she said that she was working I think she said she works with MGM, and they were putting the finishing touches on a Led Zeppelin documentary that is due next year that has the full involvement of the band themselves.
Really?
Oh, cool.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And she said the first cut was really, really long, and they're trying to shorten it. But she'd seen a bunch of she'd seen the original lengthy version, but just said it's really, really astounding. And I just started thinking about it. You know, Led Zeppelin, they were the biggest band of the 70s in a lot of ways. But they're like the anti-Beatles. Like, we don't know anything about the band Led Zeppelin. True. Like, stories have leaked and stories have been told. But in terms of, like, everybody felt like you knew everything about the Beatles, the biggest band of the 60s. And then the 70s come along, and Zeppelin just got more and more mysterious and more and more
mythical.
Yeah, exactly. And man, I tell you what, I know that those guys, I don't know. I mean, I have to assume, and I would feel strongly that this is correct. Over the years since John Bonham died, you think about the guys in Led Zeppelin, and they just, at different times, they've all been like, man, I just still can't believe we don't have that band. And 99% of any of other bands in the world would just simply then go, well, let's just get another drummer, and let's just go do this. And that they never did. They thought about touring. Jimmy wanted to tour after the 2007 show. That's out there, of course. It just never seemed to click with those guys. And the decision to break up when Bonham died. I mean, they recognized this is a unique thing. All this to say, would Zeppelin matter to the degree that they do if they just hired a drummer in 1983 or 1982 and then continued to work as Led Zeppelin. And I would say not likely. I think the greatest part of that myth, like you said, Zepp, the mythology around Zeppelin, it was just so solidified by going away. And that's and despite the fact that, that maybe they wanted to come back, maybe for whatever reason they didn't. But the fact that they have done that, they've completely preserved their legacy because they haven't done anything to screw it up.
Yeah, and so tight-lipped about it. I think of all the unauthorized rockumentaries that I've watched over the years, and I bet I haven't missed one on Led Zeppelin.
Sure.
And, they're contradictory. If they ask the guys, they'll either roll their eyes or, say it's a bunch of bollocks or something like that. And the fact that, they haven't written the memoir, or there hasn't been an autobiography that I'm aware of. There was Hammer of the Gods, again, unauthorized, and Robert Plant said it was a bunch of rubbish. So they've maintained that, and you want them to, except for this big new documentary that's coming out. I really, really want to see it, and I want to see it done right. And the fact that the guys are in on it, the surviving members are in on this, and give their stamp of approval, and it'll have that honesty. How much of a peek are we going to get to see behind those? Because their mythology, what happened off stage, was just as as far as the shenanigans of the band, not outside the studio, was just as captivating for our imaginations as what they put on vinyl and what they did on stage. So very, very amped up to hear that some reputable people and the guys in the band are ready to put together a documentary. Wow.
I'm not sure. I hadn't heard about it. Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I wonder if that's public information yet. But it is now. I can't imagine someone else out there.
On a radio station. Yeah, come on.
I can't imagine anyone else is out there not talking about it that's involved in it. But there's you just look at bands like I've names. I'm having a brain fart. Geddy Lee just released a book this week, and he's been doing a lot of promotion for his book, and he's been talking about the fact that he and Alex Lifeson thinking about making music. They would like to make music, and he's not said at all that they might reassemble Rush with a different drummer. But if you read between the lines, and I saw a couple different interviews, and I thought, I think they're contemplating it. Maybe they don't even know they are, but sometimes it's like, sometimes when you read an interview, you can tell by what's not said that there's a whole lot going on there. The subtext is really the story, and I got the sense that maybe they were thinking about it. And I do feel good about the fact that if the two surviving members of Rush wanted to do something and call it Rush, they know Neil Peart's heart and mind, and they would only do it with a drummer and in a way that he would have approved. I do believe they're the kind of people who would be very aware and conscientious and only do something that they know in their bones would be okay to Neil Peart. If and this is all purely speculative on my part. And I just think that's says a lot about the nature of their relationship, their friendship, and their partnership within the band Rush. And Led Zeppelin, oddly enough, as much as people look at them like these, hedonistic party animals from the 70s, the respect they had for the four of them, and like Robert Plant has said, well, once Bonzo left, we weren't the same. We're not that thing. It was the four of us in a room. That's magic. And any three of us without the fourth, it's just three dudes. No matter who the fourth, no matter who the order is, and that's what makes that so special to me.
That's how I feel about you guys.
Ain't you sweet?
Wait till you see the documentary.
Okay, hold on. So
he said what?
So so who's who? If we're
you're the drummer.
Okay, the drummer. Okay, and
you're my drummer.
Okay,
I'm drum tech.
Boy, that's a good way to get a head slap.
Come on, do it.
And are you? So you're the Robert Plant in this organization?
Obviously, yeah. Look at my hair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Tony and I will duke it out for the other two. Well, Tony's Jimmy Page. He's got the wig for it.
And I'm a go-go dancer, actually. With the boots.
Base, man.
I want to see Tony in the one-piece dragon suit. Stat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all you had to do was ask.
That'd be fantastic. Tony as Jimmy Page for Halloween.
Yeah, I can see it. I can actually see it. Since you brought it up, I just want to jump into this because I was just tackling this morning during one of our commercial breaks. Geddy Lee's memoir is My Effin' Life in Conversation. Mm-hmm. He's out on a book tour right now. Someone just did an interview, and he kind of shares this funny story about his wife, Nancy, reading his memoir for the first time.
She avoided it like the plague, and whenever I brought up the subject, she'd la, 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 la. And then a funny thing happened. The first finished copy was sent to me, the first printed hardcover. And she saw it lying on the table, and she picked it up, and she went out into the backyard to her favorite reading spot and started to read it. And she was enjoying it. And then all of a sudden she freaked out. She said, I can't read this book. This is the very first copy. I'm going to wrap it in cellophane and put it away. When you get another book, I'll read it then.
It sounded funnier when I read the transcript of the interview.
I can tell you this, having written a book about a significant part of my life and being in a band, when it was all finished and fully edited and all done, and Rosemary had read little bits as it went, but she was kind of like she got out of the way because she was like, well, I don't want you to, you need to do it and edit it and make it the way you want it, and then I'll read it. It's like, thank you. Because, she could, like, be bored by a chapter and suddenly I'd be like, wait, is it not good? And it was like one of those things. When she read the final book, she was reading it, and several times she would just be very, very emotional. And I would look at her and go, you were there. You were, and she's like, but I don't remember it. She's like, I forgot, or whatever. She was like, I don't know, maybe I thought you were exaggerating or you were being dramatic or that I didn't know it was that bad or whatever. And it was funny because I was like, yeah, you were. There was moments, and I'd say you were in the room. She's like, I blocked that out. I don't remember that at all. Funny. It's like, I wish I had. These things happen. But hey, you know what? We're not going to write a book right now, but we are going to look back. How about a history lesson? On this day, November 17th, 1991, a horrible day in the NFL. Mike Utley, lineman for the Detroit Lions, was paralyzed on the field quite memorably as they were removing him from the Silverdome turf on the stretcher. He threw that thumbs up out there. A man who had just become a quadriplegic was able to throw up the thumbs up, and boy, did that what an emotional moment for everyone involved, whether you cared about the Lions on any level. To see a man injured like that, it's kind of miraculous every year that goes through football where we don't see that more often. That's what I think every time. But Mike Utley on this day, then he started, of course, the Thumbs Up Foundation and raised a whole lot of money and did a lot of good things for a lot of people with similar spinal injuries. By the way, the Lions that year were 12-4. 12-4 and hammered the Cowboys in the first round of the playoffs, like 38-6.
Wow, I have no recollection.
None at all. 12-4, beat the living daylights out of a young Troy Aikman's Dallas Cowboys, and then went to Washington and then had their asses handed to them, and that's the last time they won a playoff game.
Wow.
1991. I think this year is going to be the year they finally get over. But, man, that's a long time without a postseason win.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.